Welcome to our weekly Forex forecast, and today we will be looking or preparing for the week of August 16th to the 20th, 2021. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. As usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. So in terms of the data that's coming up, actually, before we dive into that, so a couple of things that are weighing on the markets currently, or influencing the markets, I should say, currently. So one is the Delta virus, so or the Delta variant for the COVID. We are seeing an increase in that, which is basically depending on the day of the week. Sometimes it creates more negativity in the market, and that's why we have seen like oil has suffered as a result of that. Anytime those concerns start coming up in the news, we see the markets have a negative reaction to that, the oil especially. And the reason for that is because if everything shuts down again, then of course, the demand for oil will go down because factories and stuff will not be operational. So that's a negative thing for oil. Other thing we are seeing right now is the infrastructure bill in the US, and that's a good thing for the stock market overall. Not so great for the US dollar, but good for the stock market because it will create jobs. It will help the economy. So overall, it's a good thing. But then right now there are some concerns in regards to whether it will get passed or not. So we will see how that plays out. But as you know, that's going on, it will influence the market. So that's what we have to keep an eye on as to what kind of comments come out in regards to that. All right, so in terms of what news is coming in, Sunday and Sunday here, Chinese news. Monday, relatively quiet here. We do have Australia monetary policy meeting minutes. So some of the central banks now are talking about tightening the monetary policy, increasing interest rates, and that sort of thing. So any sort of comments in regards to tightening monetary policy, taking away the money that is getting poured into the market right now, or increasing interest rate, all of those will be good for the currency, but not good for the stock market because, well, the currency, anytime the interest rate goes up, it's good for the currency. So we'll bear that in mind. And then on Tuesday, now this one here, we have unemployment numbers or employment numbers out of UK. This one is not marked as high priority, but it is an important piece of news that always moves the British pound. So if you're trading pound, this is something to keep an eye on. In this case, we do need good employment numbers. So employment needs to go up. And then we also need to see average earnings go up. So if both of these numbers, like employment, so basically unemployment rate has to drop and average earnings has to increase. So if that's the case, that would be good for pound, and we could see market react to that. So that's important. And then we also have retail sales numbers here for the US. Retail sales numbers are very important, so we'll keep an eye on that. Any sort of positive numbers will be good for the US. And then we also have Powell speaking. So Powell has actually not been, even though Fed has been talking about increasing the interest rate or tightening of the monetary policy, but they keep pushing it back. And in his speech, any sort of comments that talk about we're not going to do it now, we will continue as things are, any kind of comments like that will actually be positive for the stock market, but not that great for it would not be that great for the US dollar. So we will keep that in mind. But again, if he does talk about raising rates and gives some sort of any sort of even idea of when that may happen, that will be positive for the US dollar. And then we have Reserve Bank of New Zealand. This one, monetary policy at this, they're expecting an interest rate hike here. So if they do, Reserve Bank of New Zealand, so we haven't seen any of the major banks do an interest rate hike just yet. And generally, Australia and New Zealand tend to be the countries that do the hike before others. We have seen that in the past, and they cut rates later than others as well. They're generally countries that have higher interest rate. So Reserve Bank of New Zealand will be one of the first ones to do it. In the major banks I'm talking about, not there are a lot of countries that have already started raising rates because inflation is out of control. And in New Zealand as well, the housing market has just gone insane with the low interest rates. So this will be the first one. So if they do raise rates, that will be positive. And even going into Tuesday here, Tuesday evening, New Zealand dollar may go up as a result of the expectation of them raising rates. And Wednesday here, Wednesday we have inflation numbers from UK here. Now, at this point, if we do see that inflation number comes in higher than expected, that will be a positive thing for the British pound, because the expectation would be then the central bank will raise, Bank of England will raise rate as a result. Same thing here for Canada. Canada, if we see the inflation numbers higher, again, that will put pressure on Bank of Canada. Bank of Canada has already been talking about raising rates, so we'll see that Canadian dollar will go up as a result of that, because expectations will be that the banks have to raise rates then. And then, of course, we have Fed on Wednesday here as well. This will be important. In this case, it's only the meeting minutes. There's no conference here, but any sort of conversation in regards to raising rates or pulling money or not putting as much money into the market, all those things will be positive for the US dollar. Or on the other hand, though, if they don't touch upon that, if they talk about the wait and see attitude, or if they express concerns about the Delta variant, those will be negative things, and then we'll have a negative impact on the US dollar. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. And then we have employment numbers, Philly Fed manufacturing numbers. So these will be important as well. And then ending the week here with retail numbers. So a fair amount of data here towards the middle of the week that we'll have to pay attention to. All right, so let's go on to our charts now. We'll start off with euro dollar here. With the euro, we saw that price came into our support level, and this is where price has struggled. So now we have a bullish pin bar. It is into resistance, so that's something to bear in mind. This is important support resistance level coming all the way from there back in 2018. But for now, we do have a bullish pin bar, which means price can go higher. We just have to watch out for this 1.1800 level. If price goes through that, then next target that we will aim for here is 1.1900. So bullish bias here, just with a little bit of caution. But this is exactly where price had turned previously, and it had gone up a fair bit. And we could see a similar behavior. Just watch out for 1.1800 level. So bullish bias for euro dollar. Pound here, pound did drop. Now it's right in the middle of this range that it's been trading in. Right now we see a pullback from the bottom. So price has rejected the low. So in this case, we could see a move back towards the high here. Top of the range, but this one is still a range bound move. So we may see that price comes into trouble right at the high here, 1.3980. So right now, target is 1.3980. I'm looking for it to retest the high of the range. Aussie dollar here. Aussie dollar is sideways here. Price has not done much at this point. And if we see that the other pairs start to go up against the US dollar, this is likely to do the same. So at this point, I'm looking for a move towards 0.7429. So right now it's trading in a range. It has been doing that for the last 4 weeks. So looking for a retest of the high of the range because it has rejected the low. So bullish bias, neutral to bullish bias, 0.7429 is the target here. New Zealand dollar, this one is looking bullish, and if they do, as we go towards Tuesday, and if they do raise rates, this is going to go up. So bias here is bullish. 0.7120 is the first target, and then we will look on the daily, in the daily analysis, we will look at this further. We may see a move higher. So now here's the thing though, because there's an expectation of interest rate hike, if they don't raise rates, this is going to drop as well. So yeah, just bear that in mind. So bullish bias for now for New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD here, this has also been trading in a range and price has rejected the top of the range. So in this case, we're looking for a move lower here towards a 1.2420. So right now, bias is bearish for dollar CAD. Euro pound here, Euro pound rejected the low. So now we are seeing a move higher. So bullish bias, again, watch out, it's into resistance. And this is where things could turn around, but bias is bullish. And next target is 0.8550. So bullish bias for Euro pound as well. Euro Swiss franc here, this one is struggling a bit. We did see price go up, but now we have a large pin on the top, which shows rejection. We may get a retest of this, but then watch out for that move lower here. So basically this has been range bound for the last 3 weeks, and I'm looking for a move back into the range here. So neutral bias here for Euro Swiss franc. Pound Swiss franc, this one is rejecting or did reject the top of the range here. And now we have a doji. So in this case, looking for a move lower here towards 1.2580. So bearish bias here for pound Swiss franc. But again, watch out for the employment numbers for UK. Any sort of positive employment data will push the pound higher. Okay, dollar Swiss franc, this one also showing a rejection from the top of the range here as well. So in this case, looking for a move lower again towards the bottom of the range, and target here is 0.9030. So bearish bias for dollar Swiss franc. Pound yen here, pound yen getting rejected from again, the top of the range. A lot of these have been going sideways over the last few weeks. And now looking for a move lower. Again, this is been range bound for the last 5 weeks now. So just be mindful of that. 151.10 is the first target. Only if it goes through that, then we'll take a look at 149.50. But the first target here is 151.10. Euro yen, this one holding below the previous support resistance level. So looking bullish still. Next target here is 128.60. Now, having said that, bear in mind, we are coming right into the support level at 129. So we do need to see it go through this one here. This is important because it got stuck over here as well multiple times. So just watch out for 129. But other than that, bearish bias. Dollar yen, this as well getting rejected from the top of the range here. And we had talked about this one. It was just kind of like your head and shoulders here, but bearish bias in this case, looking for a drop here as well. 109 is the first target. And then below that, we are looking at 108.70. So bearish bias for dollar yen. Aussie yen, this one is also looking bearish here. In this case, looking for a drop. 80.00 is the target here. So bearish bias for Aussie yen as well. With the New Zealand yen, this one has also been dropping, but watch out for the New Zealand Reserve Bank of New Zealand announcement. And in that case, if they raise rates, I would expect to move higher in that case. But based on just the technicals alone, this is still in a range, looking for it to go towards the bottom of the range, which is at 76.00. So bearish bias here for the time being. But as we get closer to the announcement, this could flip. CAD yen, this one as well has been trading in a range. And as we can see, price rejected the top of the range. We have a bearish pin bar here. So looking for a drop towards 86.60. So bias is bearish for CAD yen. All right, so let's take a look at our commodities here. Silver, gold and silver had big drops previous week here. Now, as we can see, price is finding support. This is a daily chart. Price is finding support here, which means we could see it go higher. So in this case, we'll stay with the daily chart because there's more detail in this one. So we do have that pull off of the, or it's gone higher. Now the problem here is it's right into this resistance. This is where price is struggling. So once it goes through this, then we have this inefficient move that will get filled. So right now I'm neutral on this. If it can hold above 23.85, then we will look for a move higher. So right now neutral to slightly bullish bias here for silver. In this case, the next target here is 24.35. So bullish bias, neutral to bullish bias here for silver. Gold, on the other hand, has been able to go through that resistance here. So this was the resistance that gold had struggled with. It made it through. So now we're looking for this move here, this inefficient move. Many times the inefficient moves will get filled. So our number of times they will get filled. So anyway, this one is we're looking for, this is an inefficient move, so we're looking for this one to get filled here. So bias here is bullish, and in terms of the target, the first target is 1791, and above that we're looking at 1805. So bullish bias for gold. Oil, oil still trading sideways here below the resistance level. Neutral bias right now, completely neutral candle close, price opened and closed exactly where it started, that's where it closed. So right now looking for a retest of the low at 65, and if it doesn't go through, we're looking for a move back up again. So right now neutral bias, looking for a retest of 65.00. Copper as well, still stuck in the range. And as we can see, prices went in both directions, didn't really do anything. The entire week here, price has just gone sideways. Now, in this case, it rejected the high. So looking for a move towards the low here. Right now, 4.20. So overall, though, bias is neutral for copper as well. Bitcoin here. Bitcoin did get that move higher because of the on Friday, we did see that big push higher. This is the daily chart. So right now we are past, it's kind of, well, it did go through this resistance level, but this is kind of what I'm looking for here. So current price is about 46,300 something. So if it gets stuck, this is what we have to see. If it gets stuck below 46,750, then it could still come lower here. But generally what will happen is something like this. This is where I would like to see price hold above. If it holds above this level, let's see what that level is, 45,350. So let's say about 45,500. So if it holds above that level, then we are looking for a move higher. But if it goes through here, then it could go lower. So right now it's in that area where it's going back and forth. So once the market opens, we'll see how it fares. So right now, though, bullish bias here for Bitcoin. S&P 500 still continuing higher here. And it's just been a one-way street ever since that big drop here. So looking bullish right now, 4480, and then 4500 will be the next targets to the upside here. So bias here is bullish for S&P 500. Nasdaq here also holding the highs. And when these hold the highs, generally they make a break higher. So in this case, it is pushing into the resistance here, which means we could see a break, and the next target here is 15,300, and then 15,500 would be the next one higher. So bullish bias for Nasdaq as well. Dow Jones is also pushing higher. On a weekly here, it held this previous support resistance level, and see how it made. This was very similar to what we saw on Nasdaq. It was just holding, and then it went through. So in this case, 35,700. And then 36,000 are the next two targets here. So bullish buys for Dow Jones as well. DAX here, DAX also looking bullish. This one as well was holding here. For the longest time, it was holding the support, and then it has made a break for it. Next target for this one is 16,000. And then we'll take a look at 16,200. So bullish bias for DAX as well. And FTSE here, FTSE is struggling a little bit. It's still holding the highs. It's going up. So this inefficient move here completely or almost completely filled now. So bias is bullish here. Next target is 73.20. Now it is struggling a bit with this resistance, so we'll have to watch it here. But bias is bullish. Next target is 73.20. And then last but not least, we have Nikkei on the daily here. It's been trading in a big range. So looking at the weekly, as we can see, this one is range bound. So this is not as bullish. It struggled with the resistance here. So the support turned into resistance. So now looking for a move lower towards 27,430. But this is where we may see a turn. So right now, neutral to bearish bias here for Nikkei. All right, so that's it for today. You guys have a wonderful trading week, and I'll be back again with our daily on Monday. Bye for now.